Hey everybody, video on ancient Egypt today. I'm going to be talking a lot about ancient Egypt in the next few weeks. But I did the video on the Sela mystery structure that is on the pyramid list. I think that was my last video. So this one kind of goes along with that video. I'm also going to be making a video on Giza and why that clearly was not built by the 4th dynasty pharaohs. I think a lot of us are sick of that stale story, and that can be easily debunked. But let's go down to a site kind of in southern Egypt. This is near Amenia. Let's go down there and take a peek at a very interesting structure that is very unique on the pyramid list. What we're going to be looking at today is just south of Amenia. This appears to be a very, very ancient place in Egypt. Here today we have the modern city, and then right over here we have something that is just in ruins. A lot of this lays beneath the sand. This appears to be an ancient place in Egypt, and it's east of the Nile. And here is the only thing on the pyramid list east of the Nile, a small structure right down here. They say Huni built this, but they also say Huni built a lot of things, and they don't know a lot about Huni. It's all a big mystery. About 3 years ago, I decided to look into every structure that was on the pyramid list. Zahi brags about 124 pyramids in Egypt. But how many of those are really true pyramids? How many of these are just small mystery structures like this? Well, that was a great series to do. Opened up a lot of new questions, but what is the purpose of this structure? This is all alone here. No other major structure by it, but there appears to be a buried city here. Pretty interesting. There is not a lot written on this site. It's on the pyramid list, so I thought I'd investigate it 3 years ago. And then again today. But this appears kind of like the Kinkawe structure at Giza. That was clearly a rebuilt or reused structure by the old dynasty. But this is just very interesting. What was the purpose? Why is it on the east side of the Nile? Let's look at some pics, do a little reading. I will leave this link below, the pyramid of Zawiyet el-Meiyitin. That is what this is called. And this is all we have here. It's a very small structure, but it is on the pyramid list. There is a lot of these smaller structures that are just mysteries. They don't seem to be true pyramids at all. Some don't even appear to have burial chambers or even resemble anything like a tomb. But you notice there are mud brick ruins sticking up. It appears there is an ancient city here just buried and in ruins. But it says here it is a pyramid located in Middle Egypt. It is the only known pyramid to have been erected on the east bank of the Nile. The dimensions of the pyramid, or the base, are about 22.5 meters. The height is only about 5 meters. And that's indicative in some of these smaller structures, and they stretch from Elephantine all the way down in way southern Egypt, all the way up to the Nile Delta. There's about 7 of these, and Huni is attached to these. We know very little about Huni. There is only 2 inscriptions ever found that they guess might refer to a king named Huni. We know so little about the Old Kingdom and Senefru. And then his son, Khufu, supposedly built at Giza, based on some misspelled glyphs and flimsy evidence. But I will be going into that in a future video. But here's some more looks around. But there are mud brick ruins coming out of here. It appears different type of stonework in this area. Here, some cartouches were found. This does not appear to spell out Huni, but some of these are very hard to see. There's a little better look at them, but the sun disk Ra can clearly be seen. And that is about the only thing you can make out here. But supposedly these go back over 4,600 years. Some more ruins sticking up by this small pyramid. Some different stonework here. You can get a good look at the mud brick structures there. And this is very interesting. Here you see some stonework that appears to be descending. And how these are held together, let's take a closer look at that. Here it is blown up a little. You notice the mud brick structures up here, but this stonework, it's held together by dovetails. And I have talked about dovetails and some very ancient stonework. Is this a hint that this is very ancient, this stonework here? I'm not sure. I'd love to hear your opinions on the dovetails. I know those are found in Peru, other places in Egypt, but leave your thoughts below. At some point in history, metal would have been poured into these to hold these blocks together. Find that very interesting. Let's go on to some other pics here. Here are some more looks at the ruins, the mud brick features here popping up out of the ground. Over here we appear to have stuff kind of buried and in ruins. just have not found a lot about this necropolis, and it was a necropolis. There was tombs built around here. Somebody a long time ago obviously thought this place was very sacred. It says tombs are present on the ledge, and I think they mean right up here. Just a pretty fascinating place, but there are no major buildings left, only this one. Here is a close-up look at what they call a pyramid here, Pyramid of Huni, an old kingdom ruler. But that is just a general guess. Here are some more looks at this structure. This appears to have two different types of stonework, obviously built in. Kind of reminds you of Kinkhawe's tomb, a repurposed structure by the old dynasty of Giza. But there, you get a good look at that stonework. A couple different phases. The mud brick, the stuff that's buried. This is just a very interesting site. Appears to go way back in time in Egypt. Who knows? Maybe almost 5,000 years. Who knows when this structure was originally built? But then we have newer additions. It appears this place was sacred through different periods of Egyptian history. Here is a stairway and some other things built in here. But there are some very old mud brick structures popping out of the ground. Reminds you a little bit what you see down at Abydos. Some other very ancient parts of Egypt. There's a look at that pyramid structure just peeking out right there. More of the mud brick structures, and just you get little hints of what was here in ancient times. Just little glimpses based on this stonework popping out. Here's a couple final looks at this place. It just seems to be in ruins and kind of buried mud brick structures, and then this appears to be a little more modern than Old Kingdom, that is for sure. But different stonework just lying around, and it appears there are tombs here. This place was sacred for some reason a long, long time ago in Egypt. Just not a lot on the site. If you can dig up anything at the Pyramid of el-Meiyitin as far as the necropolis here, or who is responsible for these ruins, please leave it below. I want to move on to some newer videos, but here, brick remains around the Pyramid of Zawiyet el-Meiyitin. Now, these 7 small mystery pyramids scattered all the way throughout Egypt, I just thought they were worth looking into. If they are on the pyramid list, why not? They must be important for some reason. I like to be thorough. It says there are 7 small pyramids, also known as minor step pyramids, scattered along the Nile from Sela near the Fayum oasis, in the necropolis of Meidum, an Elephantine Island near Aswan. There is a reference to an 8th pyramid in the delta near Bena, but this is no longer visible, and I think there is a few more of those that are no longer seen on Google Earth. But it says these pyramids date to the 3rd and 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom. There has been much debate concerning their purpose of these pyramids and the identity of their builder. Many of the pyramids have no internal structure, and there is only evidence of a funerary cult for some of them. They may have been cenotaphs or shrines associated with a number of gods, with the forerunners being Horus and Set, or maybe for royal wives. Some experts consider them to have been boundary markers or markers to track flooding of the Nile, while others suggest they may have some ceremonial purpose. These 7 small pyramids have also been described as early sun temples and monuments to the Benben, the primeval mound of creation. And the earliest text from Egypt says that the gods, and those are just enlightened people, came to Egypt a long, long time ago and built some of the original temples on the primordial mounds. The people who write on these 7 small pyramids admit there is barely anything known about these, who built them, when, what they are used for. Just a wide range of speculation. It says there also seems to be connections with important constellations and special events in the Egyptian calendar, notably the rising of Sirius before inundation, but they really don't go into why. It says Huni is often credited as the builder of one or all these pyramids. However, inscriptions in some of these pyramids suggest that it was his successor, Senefru, who was responsible for the construction of the majority of them. They just really have no clue. But it goes down here. Here is what is written. The only thing written on the pyramid is Zawiyet el-Meiyitin. The pyramid is composed of 3 or 4 steps built from small limestone blocks bound with mud, lime, and sand. It is aligned to the river Nile, and it appears to be kind of aligned to the ancient river valley, but not to the present-day Nile. Here is a granite head, what they think is Huni, a 3rd dynasty king. but they're just not sure. It says Huni's chronological position as the last king of the third dynasty is seen as fairly certain, but there is still some uncertainty on the succession orders of ruler at the end of the third dynasty. It says Huni is seen by scholars as a confusing figure in Egyptian history because he was long remembered in Egyptian tradition, but only very few documents and objects and monuments of his have endured. Huni is not a well-attested pharaoh. There are only 2 inscriptions, contemporary objects with his name on them. Here is one of them, and they guess this refers to the King Huni of the third dynasty, and this was found all the way down at Elephantine near that small structure that they call a pyramid on the pyramid list. It's pretty amazing to me how they can attach so many monuments to this guy, Huni. The one up at Abu Ruwash, the Lepsius #1, they think he might have built that too, according to Egyptologists. They don't know. But how can they attach so many monuments to a guy that they only have 2 inscriptions that they guess might be his name? Even this head here, says here, pink granite head, possibly depicting Huni, Brooklyn Museum, and I believe this was purchased from somebody, and they don't even know where it was found. Very little answers on the Old Kingdom, and as I said in a prior video, he's wrongly attached to the later Huni and the Blowfish, and I think that theory is totally ridiculous. But there is just so little known about the Old Kingdom of Egypt. Here is the other pyramid at Zawiyet al-Aryan. I know a lot of you are familiar with the northern pyramid, just the huge shaft cut in the earth. Here is the layer pyramid, a place that is closed and in a military zone. They say this might be built by Huni. Other people say Kaaba. Other people say, well, Kaaba and Huni are the same person. They just don't know a lot, and that is for sure. I just thought I'd talk about this today, one of these sites in Egypt maybe a lot of you have never heard about. But these are on the official list of pyramids in Egypt, so they had to be very important. But this whole area here appears to be a very ancient, buried city here, maybe if occupied a few different times in Egyptian history. Just couldn't find a lot on the history of this place. Here is that one feature, that stair feature. And then up here, I believe this is the area where I showed you where those dovetail blocks were. Not sure what's going on here, but this appears to be a very ancient buried city up here. Were they quarrying up here? I noticed this on top of this plateau up here. Do those angles appear to be a little too regular to be natural erosion? Wonder about that too. But that's a site in Egypt. This is the pyramid Zawiyet el-Meiyitin right down here. Site maybe none of you have heard about. Bit of a mystery since the experts have no clue what's going on with those. That's ancient Egypt. I'll be talking more about Egypt in the upcoming weeks. Hope you thought that was cool. And you all have a very nice day.